Back to where I was now. Sorry about that delay. All those I'm gonna have to fix all my. I had to fix all my stuff because my stream was not working properly. Everything was just screwed up. I don't know. I had the settings all wrong, and so I was outputting. It was optimizing and doing some weird stuff that it wasn't supposed to be doing, and so we were getting really weird results, and it was scrunching the video down. So, picking up where I left off, not that it matters because that video was kind of bad. Couldn't hardly see anything. But now you'll be able to see stuff. You should be able to see stuff better now. Should actually be able to see what I'm doing now. Yeah, this'll be better. Okay. Sorry about that. My gosh, I don't know what was going on there. I mean, I know what was going on, but... So what I was essentially doing at the time was I was finishing up this create car selection buttons with a new structure. So now we're going to create the buttons with structure. We're going to pass in the vehicle class and the name. And the buttons are going to get the vehicle class and the name variables. So the vehicle name can go here, or name of the name text can go here. So it'll set that on event construct, and then the vehicle class will be able to be used to continue to pick and select the vehicle that you want. So on car changed. Well, actually, we're going to go back into the car manager selection interface here, the ICSM, and we're going to change this to on. Okay, rename. On car selection button pressed. So that's what we'll do. And then we'll go back to the manager here, and on car selection button change, we're gonna take that, which we're going to go back to the CSM, and I need to change the name of this to car class, which could be vehicle class, car class, whatever. And we're going to remove this, and we're going to put that there. So now it has the car class is getting switched. I don't really want those, and I don't know if I'm going to need that right now, but so now when I want to add different vehicles, I can just go in here to the vehicle, the car selection manager, and I can have that, add them in there, and I can just take this. So now you should be able to pick that. Now the buttons need to actually be spawning, because I still don't think they're spawning yet. Yeah, we don't have any buttons, but we have this menu that's kind of cool that we can pop up for debug. But we still don't have any buttons that are actually spawning, and they're supposed to have an appearance. So they should be visible if they're getting added to this thing, but I think what's happening is the scroll box isn't in the right spot, or it isn't big enough or something. So I need to figure out why that is, because if I put a button in here or something like that, if I were to put a button in here and put it into the selection box, I should see that essentially. If I go here, see, it's there. There's an empty button at the bottom. So essentially, if I take the button and remove it, we're going car selection box, add child. So the car button should look like this, and the button, let's actually make this like 26. I don't really know how big it really needs to be, but it looks like it's not adding it. So maybe this isn't actually happening. Create car selection buttons, that's why. I don't think it's calling that, because when I did it, I was going to call that from the I was going to call that from like up here, I think. Create, it was either that or car selection manager, main UI, the car selection manager. Oh, the car selection manager was going to do it when it calls it. So it was going to call, or no, that's not the case, because where was it? Okay, so I think what I do need to do, this is what what I would do is, normally I would have a separate UI for this or something like that, but because I added them all together and I'm spawning it with the pawn here, um, normally you would have like the car selection manager could spawn the UI for itself, but I want them to be all one UI. I don't want to have to separate the debug and the car selection UI for the moment. So when it creates the car selection, um, when the car selection manager gets its reference here at the pawn and it passes itself into the, it goes into the UI, it gets the reference into the UI, then the UI could essentially, you could call it from here, right? Because now we have that, which I could go create car selection buttons at that point, but I kind of want this to be all within, so maybe what I will do is I will actually take this car selection manager and take the main UI and pass it into there, so rather than going the other way around. And let's go set main UI, so this will be a little better. So we're going to go set main UI reference, and then we're going to have a main UI reference, and this is just going to be of type main UI, and it's going to be an object reference, and it's not going to be a it's not going to be that. So what we want to do is go set main UI reference, and inside there we want to go set this, pull this here, and we want to make sure that this is private. So we'll be setting this, and it's going not to be pure. It's not going to be pure because we're going to be setting. And so in here we can go set main UI with that, and then inside the main UI, car selection manager, inside the car selection manager, after it gets the main UI, I can also tell it to call a function to create the buttons. But I kind of want that to happen. I kind of want this to happen. I don't want this to happen inside this function because that's not a good thing. So what you would do is, where's the pawn here? So we would go here, right? And technically, I think I'm just going to do this differently because I don't really want to do this. I don't want to do this from here. I don't like this. I'm just going to take this out. We set that there. The pawn needs to have that information for the car manager because it needs to be able to get this information from here so it can get the current placeable. The pawn's going to have its own. So is the main UI. The main UI is going to get its own, I think, right here, because then the car selection manager can. We don't need that. Let's go pawn copy. Not that I want to do this a bunch of times, but. We'll just stick this up here for now, and I just want to, because then it can set the car selection manager there, the reference there, and then the UI itself can create its buttons, create car selection buttons, and we can use, because we've got the car selection manager now at that point, right? So now when it starts, it'll get the car selection manager and it'll do its thing there. And even better yet, I could just do this, get rid of this, and go get pawn, and the pawn's going to have that. But the thing is, the oh, that's what I want to do. So let's just do it this way. Okay, let's just do it this way. Go here. So we have create car selection menu buttons, and we're gonna make this. We're gonna make it that one's just gonna stay like that, and then we're gonna make one that does this, where it's gonna be an event from an interface. So we'll go back to blueprints and interfaces, and I have the configuration manager, the CSM, the car selection manager, and we're going to have the main UI manager, or I mean main UI. So I blueprints interface and say I underscore main UI for now, and main UI can have an event called on not configuration, what is it? It's the pawn. Okay, what's the pawn? Okay, okay. Okay. So go back to your menu. We're gonna call this on cars. I'll just do this. Yeah, car selection manager gathered. This could have been called something a little bit different, but whatever. So that's just going to be an event now that the main UI is going to have this interface, main UI. And so this one's going to have event on car selection menu gathered, and it's going to go boom. So then the pawn can call that, because the main UI is right here. So I can just go main UI, and I can just go on car selection manager gives not that we want to do. On car selection manager gathered, and we want message, and then we can do this. So technically there we go. So then it gets an interface call, it does what it needs to do. This thing gathers its own car selection manager, and then that car selection manager is going to get passed in right here. So so we can go here, or I mean, sorry, we already have it there. Let's go to the UI here. We're going to need to pass in the values. So it's the car selection manager reference, and we can call it CSM ref. And we'll go here, and we'll pop that right in there like that. So there we go. Now, the UI will call the car selection manager. Will get there, and we'll go here like this, and we'll call that, because now we have that. We don't have to worry. We can just do that. I mean, technically, I could have passed that right through into this, but I don't need to do that really. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I guess it could be a little cleaner, but we can go. It's not going to be a big deal. I really don't care right now. I can make this a whole function now too, and then I'd only have to worry about this. So this could be a function. If I really wanted it to be a function, I could just take this and collapse it down, and then remove this off there. And so let's go collapse to function, and we'll just take this, get rid of that, and we'll just do that and this. We'll call this create car selection button. Now, of course, gotta do that first. Create selection So there we go. That's there. That looks nice. That's good. A little bit of refactor and that works. So really, we're good. We can just go wrap this with something and have it say git car selection manager and git car selection manager and alert UI, main UI, something like that. Because really, it's whatever. And then this is the last little bit of some code for platform. Based on the platform, I show the mouse. So okay, we have no current placeable because you have to be able to you have to select one first. Because the current placeable is going to be empty until. Oh no, it won't be completely empty. It will have something. So we're going to nullify it though if it does have something. We're going to go current placeable. Okay, so none. We don't want one in there right now. It's going to be none until we actually put something in it. Until you actually go and select. So the car buttons now need to be actually so create car selection buttons, and this goes here. So it should be grabbing the car manager, get the vehicles, and it should be bringing them in with that struct. So if the car manager has vehicles, which it does, it's got that one, and the pawn is definitely sending the car selection manager in. Oh, because the car selection manager is not in the world. This is why I don't like putting things in the world, because then you have to remember to put them in the world first of all, which kind of is a pain. Because if I were to just have made the car manager like a component on the pawn, I could have gotten that without having to even, it wouldn't have to get it. I would just have made it a component, and then it could have just been a component here on the pawn. And in fact, let's just do that. I don't want it to be an actor. I'm going to go back and change it so that it is not an actor. So the car selection manager is actually going to inherit from actor component. Oh, no, don't open the code. That's not what I wanted to do. I don't need to change the actor component or the actor code. So you go to class settings to change this to actor component actor. What is it? Actor. Son of a gun. I may have to make a new one because this is a little funky. This is okay, let's just go back here. Tracker manager is of type actor component, but when I go in here to my car selection manager, I can't get actor component, I don't think. Yeah, I can't get actor component. I'm going to have to literally take the code and remake it. So that blows. That kind of blows. I don't know why it doesn't let me switch that. Actor component, and we'll just call this car select manager for now, and I'm going to end up replacing it to pawn. Pawn. guess I'll just go live for a second. Huh? So, okay. RPG systems in general. If you're talking about RPG systems in general, I do know how to make a lot of RPG systems. Level systems, inventory, loot systems, and I have a lot of that actually in like I have an actual loot system on the marketplace. I have I have a game that I'm actually building that's an RPG. I usually have that. That's what I've been working on in some of my other streams, but I've kind of moved over to this because um, I have a request for a demo app from a friend of mine who wants to supply a client with a demo. So that's what I've been working on right now. But the RPG systems in general, like you can do like you know, if you're talking about combat, I've got some skills with combat and abilities and things like that. But in Unreal Engine, the best system for generally the best system for combat uh, systems is they have this thing called um, what do they call it? That's abbreviations are GAS, and it is the gameplay ability system, and it's within Unreal Engine. And you can actually go into Unreal, and you can turn on. If you go to let's see plugins, within plugins, you can go to gameplay abilities right here, gameplay abilities, and you would enable gameplay abilities, and that system right there, it's very complex and it's in a beta. It's not they don't really do much with it, so it'll probably stay in beta for a while. But it's what they use for Fortnite, and it's what a lot of other companies use, and it has the systems for you would have health, and you can have dot effects, and you can have like damage over time, healing over time. You can have all kinds of different things like that, and it all works. So that's the type of thing that like um, you would want to use, right? But it is very complex to get kind of going with it. So it's one of those things where if you're gonna try to jump into gameplay abilities, you want to do a lot of research on this before you really try to play around with it. Gray balls, what is up? Are you visiting? You're visiting. Get some gray balls action going. I decided to stream today because I was working on this project, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and stream it, get some of it, just get some stream action going while I'm building it, because why not, right? It's just a demo, anyways. It's not a project for it's not a client-facing project really. It's just a demo for a friend of mine, so that he's gonna use. So anyway, yeah, where was I here? Where was I? Oh yeah, I just set this up. So now, you can select the model that you want, you can place it down, you can change the colors of it still, and but now you can actually select a model. Now if I were to make another model, which I don't have another model car. Actually, I do. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make the Lamborghini a model. I'm gonna make that the other one. So what I'll do is right-click, create blueprint, child. Call this BP underscore Lamborghini or just Lambo. And I don't really know what Lamborghini it is because I don't even honestly I don't even remember. But I think what I'm gonna do in here for this placeable. The basic placeable is going to actually get a cube, because then it doesn't have to look like it's empty, and I can just put I can go into the Lambo here, let's just save that right there, and I can go to the Lambo and I can actually take the cube, and I mean I'm not watching, cool, sweet man, sweet man, sweet, and we go Lamborghini editable paint. Now this one has this is a Lamborghini model that has some decent stuff going on. The I think the car model is pretty decent, and I got this from online, and then I modified it a little bit. So basically, this one's got all the stuff. I think what I want to do with this to be sure that it's going to work, first of all, I need to, in here, oh, did I do this right? Let me see. Yeah, that one doesn't need, this one's got body paint colors, and so it's funny because I can make this public, right? Because what I want to do is make sure that it's visible. I don't even know if I need it to be public, actually, now that I think about it. I want body paint colors to show up over here, and that is not here. It's not that I want it to be public per se. I want it to, I'm going to actually just tell this thing to show inherited variables, I think, so then I can just go to variables, and there it is, body paint colors. So I can just do that. And then the thing about it is that body paint colors is already there, so every single one of them is going to have the original body paint colors. But if I don't, if I didn't want to have this variable, see, right now this variable is on the parent, so these colors would be available for any car that I have, which I don't necessarily want that. Each car should have its own, so I probably technically would want to take the body paint colors and I would want to use those with, where is it? I'd want to just go into each car and change them. So I could do that right here, because this one's gonna, you know, basically you would probably just leave this empty, and then you could just apply, you could add the ones you wanted, and then they'll, you know, they'll be specific for the car. But the other thing I was trying to do was I wanted to see them in the defaults here. Let's go defaults, and oh no, yeah, that's that, class defaults, and you'd think it would be here, but it's not. That's because it is not. Where's my main one? Placeable. Okay. So if I go to class defaults here, let's go here, class defaults, and body paint colors is right there. So if it's public, then it doesn't show up there, I think. Nope, it does. That's right. So body paint colors is there under default, and I can actually make this category, we're going to call this car, let's just call this car options or something like that. And that way when I go in here, I can look under car options. If I were to go to Lambo, then it's supposed to show it, but maybe it's not going to do that. It's probably because it's not showing inherited. Show advanced details. No. Show. Okay, no. Well, normally it does, especially in C++. It will. It'll show all of your parent variables. So I'm trying to remember what I want to do here to make sure that it does display them, because I'd like them to be displayed. So I'm thinking I need to instance editable. Publicly editable instance of the blueprint. We're not going to have instances of the blueprint that will be editable in the editor, so that wouldn't really matter. Oh, it's because it's private. That's why. It's because I made it private. So if I didn't make that private, if I would. See, this is the stupid part about Blueprint. Blueprints, you can make them private, but if you don't, then they're automatically public. There's no, like, protected. There's no protected keyword for Blueprint variable. So when you go make it public, if you go here, then the class defaults, it's still not. Oh, no, there they are. Body, there they are. So that's the case. But then the problem is, if you make a variable public in Blueprint, then when you come out here and you go to like the car, let me think of a good place. If I were to go here and I get the placeable, I could get that variable now if I wanted to. I could say body colors, and I don't want to be able to get body colors like that. And so it's like, you set it to be private so that you can't allow that to happen, but then you can't also change these. So if I go in here and make this, on the placeable, and I make this private, it's gonna lock me out of these, I think, default values, because that's just the way that it is. So the only way I could do it is show my inherited variables over here, change the colors within it, and then you'd have your options or whatever. So I'm going to leave them the way they are right now for that, because it doesn't really matter. But in the future I'll be changing all these colors based on the car. So like each car will have its own. And now this one, I would have to do the same thing. I'd have to come in here and go show inherited. Well, show inherited variables are already there, but body paint colors could be there for the Tesla itself. And then that should work out. But see, I need to add the Lamborghini to the car selection manager. So now inside my structure, I can go here and I can add Lamborghini, Lambo, and call this Lamborghini. I don't know if this is a Reventon or not, and I don't really know how to spell that. Reventon. I don't know. I will in a second. I will in a second here. Reventon? Yeah, Reventon, I think. Yep, Reventon. Okay. Okay. So, right. So then, now I should be able to have both buttons are going to be there. They're going to be stacked because currently right now. So now it'll put the Lamborghini down. But the thing is, the Lamborghini is like way larger than the scale of the Tesla, as you can see from these two images right here. So if I were to go to like this one and look at the scale of this, the scale of this model is way bigger than the Tesla. When you go to the viewport, the Tesla is way smaller because that's the way that I want. This is like the actual scale that I've kind of built it to, because it was the first one I set up. So this one is what I want it to be. I want it to match this. So technically, this object here is scaled to 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, and so the car is a completely different size than the Lamborghini, because this is still 0.2, 0.2, 0.2, but the Lamborghini itself is larger. So I'd have to go back in order to change that without modifying without changing the blueprint there and the scale of the blueprint, because I don't want to do that. I want it to stay consistent. So in order to keep that consistent and change the scale, I can go down to my 3D model. I can go to build settings, and under build settings I can say, okay, well I want this to be like whatever size it needs to be to match, right? So now if let's try something real quick here. I want to go, oops, I want to see that Tesla real fast as well. And let's open both of these up so we can see how big they are. I'm going to show the grid on this one, sorry, it's showing the grid. It says it's showing the grid. It's underneath the floor. Show, nope, it's fine. Okay, well, it's weird. I'm not sure why this grid's not showing, even though it's supposed to be showing the grid. So, my engine's being a little weird right now. So I'm just gonna kind of play around with it. I'll just go to the Lamborghini, and I know that like in here these every unit. So this is like 4.5 units. It looks like, probably, you know, it's actually about 4.5 units. So it's 4.5. So, and it's sitting right at that. It's not really centered perfectly. So let's just say we go to the Lamborghini, and I can close this placeable because I don't need that one open anymore. But let's go to the Lamborghini. Let's check the build scale, and let's go pull this out for a second. And let's go here, pull this down. We'll open these up both at the same time, and then we can just change the build scale of this. And we will go to here and put 0.5 to start, I'm guessing, maybe, and then apply changes. So that's going to bring that down, And 1, 2, 3, 4. That's almost perfect, right? It's very close. I wouldn't say that's perfect, but it's close. So let's go Reventon. So now the Reventon is there, and it has its options, and I can change the color of it. But it's not going to have its color change yet because the material that it's using is actually not the right material. So I need to go back and I need to adjust that. This car paint material here is not the one that I'm using for the Tesla, which is it could work essentially actually, but I have to go into the material and change a parameter name because it's using parameter names to set up changes at runtime. And so this material, let's just move this off the. Let's actually just move this over for a second. So now that we've got this kind of scale, we don't need this. Let's just save that and close. And so over here, we've got different paints, and these are all paints that you can get inside the marketplace. These are the automotive materials from Unreal, from Epic Games, and so I'm kind of just using those for now as placeholder materials until we decide what we want to do. But the one that I use for Tesla, for the Tesla model, is Car Paint 05 White. So I probably should just use Car Paint 05 White for the Lamborghini, at least start with that, and then go from there to a different, color. But at least within that, it has a parameter called base color that is, able to be changed. And the way that technically, if I go in and make one change in this, I can fix this so that it would work, and it would change any of these paint colors, no matter which one I have, so it wouldn't matter. And so that's something that I'm actually probably going to do now that I think about it, because this paint is different than the white by a little bit, I think. I took the, honestly, maybe it's not. It might actually be very similar, because these are like metallic-y, and then these ones here are less metallic. Because Lamborghinis don't have as much like metallic in their paint, so I didn't want to have that. So, oh, I could definitely do that if you need me to. Yeah. This video, and that's one of the things I like to do is definitely try to upload my streams to, to YouTube so that people can actually, use these later on, and not have to like worry about going back to the stream and trying to find it. So, yeah, thank you for that. I'll definitely do that. So I'm gonna actually go in and change this, because when I did this earlier, I changed this base color to base color, right? And I didn't put the space in there. All the others you can see have a space, and the reason why that is because when I was testing it, it wasn't working, and there was some weird issue. I had to restart the engine, and then it started working, and that happens quite often with Unreal. Sometimes you'll have nothing wrong, you'll have all your stuff set up properly, and it just won't work, and then you restart the engine and it works right. And it's just like some kind of glitch hung up, and I don't know. So that's one thing that, in case if you ever have trouble, it just doesn't feel right, you're like, oh, I don't know, it should be working, try restarting the engine. So I'm going to go into this material, and I think all these materials are actually using this one material right here, which is the car paint. And this is the material that Epic made for their automotive materials, right? So the actual parameters right here. And, oh no, so what's funny about that is this paint color, let me go in here and check this, because the one I'm using is the orange, the base color. So that might be why it's not working perfectly, is just because this thing is weird. I think that it should be working. If I were to use this material, it should still let me change the colors, but there might be some issue with what I did. I think it's because it's actually grabbing... Oh, actually, you know what? I know what it is. I know what's causing the problem. So the way these are is these all have different materials. This car has a ton of materials because it has just too many things, and I'm going to try to combine all these. This car was like, the guy who was having me make this, he downloaded this car and then he sent it to me, and I had to refine it because it was like really messed up. It had a lot of extra geo underneath all the geo that you see here that like was just duplicate. So things like these wheels need to be fixed. This one's actually almost fixed all the way, but this one over here on the right is kind of it doesn't look right. You can see the shadowing and the lighting is off, and same with the other side. The shadowing and lighting on these are going to be off, and it's because they're not like their normals are all wrong. So I went through and fixed the normals on the majority of this wheel here, but it still needs some work up here on the top. You can see, and then some of these areas here. So I have to go back and completely fix that. And then there's some other issues with the wheels where it's doing, where it's basically doing like weird hard surface areas right here, and that's because the way that this guy designed it, like a lot of these polys are not connected, and so when you try to smooth these groups here, these areas, they won't smooth the edges of certain lines because there's a seam there, and you can't smooth these. You can't smooth the seam, so you're like, you just get this rough edge and where it shouldn't be, and like, I think he did chunks, so like, there's like a V section here, and then he duplicated that V section and duplicated and duplicated, and so that's why there's like multiple seams. So I'm gonna try to go back through and connect all those, but let's go ahead and just see the Tesla. So we've got the Tesla, and that one still works good. So I am going to, this is not, this is what I like to do in testing. So I like to test with AR. So we can go here, and then now I can't place another actor because I need to have it switched. So there's a removable. You like remove the actor. You can remove the car, and then so there's a button that's going to switch back and forth in this menu here, and I just haven't done that yet. But so that was next on my list here. But I test on the Windows format, so that way I don't have to like keep building it to the phone every time, because it's a lot easier to just test on Windows. So what I do is, a lot of times when I'm working in AR, is you take the AR pawn, where are we here? The AR pawn here, and this is the template AR pawn from like Epic, and instead of having just this code where usually what happens is this here is connected to the world test hit, and instead of doing that, I put in a condition check for what platform it is, just as like a switch. And if it's Android or iOS, you could do iOS, you could do whatever, but Android or Windows, and because I'm working with Android, I have an S9 right here. And so if it's Android, then I'm going to do this check here. Either way, you would do the check, honestly, actually. So this check could actually be done before you do the switch for that. But I have a couple different things. So this is going to get checked also later on. This is to make sure that the class that I've chosen is like valid, because if you hit play and then you hit AR and then you click or tapped on the screen, you wouldn't want to be able to just apply something because there's no car in there. You don't want to do that, and there's no valid class. And what will happen is at the end of the code, I put something in where it's checking and saying, okay, there is now a car that's been placed. Like, so don't allow another car to be placed when you keep tapping the screen. So it limits it to one, but in order to do that, you want to make sure that you have a valid class for the first time that you click the screen. So, but what ends up happening here is with the template, you would just have the code that they have highlighted here with the colors, and if you want to test on the phone, I mean on the Windows, you want to go like have an alternate route that allows Windows to kind of run, and this is already going to be set up for mouse click for touch, so you can just use a mouse. It's all automatically going to work when you click on the screen. The mouse clicks are going to work as touch events, and so you can do your alternate window code over here, and then you can have spawn the actor similarly the same way. It's almost the same way, but what I do is instead of trying to get line tracked, you can't get a line tracked object on Windows because this is an AR function within like the Google or the Apple library, and so you wouldn't be able to use this because you don't have the device. The device isn't actually it's on Windows. So what you do is you take your make transform, just put 000, and then what I do is I do 000, and then when I go to my world, I find 000, right, which is like basically right here, and then I put my spawn point for the player to be like literally right in front of it and looking right at it, and then when you hit play, you can kind of see when you, well, you wouldn't have to do this. You wouldn't have to click any of this, right? Because it would automatically allow you to tap and place something. So what you do is you just keep tapping it, placing it, see where it sits in the window, and then you can move your player spawn point up and down to get it centered so that you can just view it nicely without having to go into AR. And then that allows you to just really quickly iterate through stuff. So now I can see the Lamborghini and I can see the Tesla. Now, like I said, the Lamborghini won't have the color options yet because I need to switch those, and I need to go in and I need to change. Let's go find out what it's saying here when it does that. I think that's going to have to do with dynamic material instance. So what's happening is, yeah, create dynamic material instance return value inside my configuration manager. I have a manager that takes the car's body colors and pulls them in to whichever. It's basically each placeable has this configuration component, and the component just takes that and creates the buttons for it out of the different body colors. It creates the buttons on the screen and throws them into the the little menu. And then when you go to click one, it runs this function right here where it changes body. Now, the reason why it's not working on the Lamborghini is because when you go, I have my placeable and I get my static mesh and I use get material. Well, it's getting the material index 10, and so on the Tesla Model S here, the element 10 is the body of the car. So on the Lamborghini, element 10 is not the body of the car. And so when it pulls element 10, it won't work. And then there's also, I think what's happening is on the reason why it's saying access none is because on the Lamborghini there's not even 10 elements. I think there's only like 5 or something. So you're trying to access element 10 of an array that's only got like 5 in it. So you can't really do that. So I mean, I could add more if I wanted to, but I wouldn't do that. I would just like probably make it like set it up so that the Lamborghini, it uses the correct element. It would have to be element 1 here. But I'm going to probably get to that later because that's not that big of a deal right this minute. I wanted to get the clear selection button in because, or clear, not clear selection, but clear the current car, because then you can take the actual car off the screen and you can place a different one down. And the button's already there. I just need to have it do a switch so that when you place a car down, it's going to switch. So on the main UI, I think this was the function I was going to have it call. Where is it? Right here. Clear placeable button is there. And when you... Oh yeah. So when I tapped the screen, I was going to have it call this function here, which was going to be basically getting my switcher and then going set active widget index, and all that does is sets it to index 1. Right? I think. Let me go check and see because I can't remember what I have here. So the switcher has car selection box, and there it is, clear placeable. So index 0, index 1. Index 1 is clear placeable, and it's a button that's already been set up to clear the car that's on the screen, or that's out in the AR. So basically it just sets it. Now what should happen is when you select like the Lamborghini and you click it, nope, it's not doing it because I didn't call that function, that's right. Let me just rename this. So I don't like to use the word toggle in my function names, but it's basically toggling the switcher at the bottom. So I mean, I'm just going to be very specific. Bottom menu button switcher. Because really this is only going to switch between the cars and the clear placeable or clear car. It's going to probably be changed to like clear car, the name later. So now I gotta call that, and that is going to get called when you actually place the item. So back in the pawn right here, and it's going to be called toggle, right? So technically, I don't like to use functions also like this. I would usually go make that like an interface call, so that way if I change the name of the function or something, it doesn't break, or if I change something or add something into the function, it's not going to completely break everything. So I might actually do that with an interface, because I'd rather use an interface. Let's go here. I might have my interface here somewhere. And it's the main UI interface. And so on the main UI interface, I can say I want to add another one and have it be on car placed. And on car placed is going to basically just be an event. It's not going to pass anything right now. And then I can go to my pawn, and I can call on car placed. Wait. We want message. On car placed, and we want the message. And we want to go like this. So now we've got this function event will get called, and so I can go back to the here, and I can have it right here and just be like event on car placed, and then it's all nice and it's all in here, and I don't have to do any weird function calls and stuff. So so then in here, all you're going to be doing is toggling, right? You're going to be toggling. You're going to call your own function that you have right there, toggle, and it should run the toggle from that. See that? So clear replaceable. Now I didn't toggle it again when I clear, so what I need to do is call that function over here when I clear the placeable. So on clear button pressed, that does something, tells the pawn to remove the placeable and clear it. So this is the pawn interface. I'm actually going to move this down here. Now technically, now it'll go back and forth. So we can go here, we can put the Tesla Model S down, we can clear it, and it should toggle back. Oh, that's right, we're not toggling, we're setting. So this is why I don't like the toggle. I'm actually going to change these. I'm going to change this to we'll just change the name to maybe a little bit. We'll just go show clear clear car button, and then this is literally going to be specifically, doing that index. And then I don't have to do this, because you could toggle, and you could go like a select, and then you could do select based on the index, or you could select an index based on a value of whatever's going on. But I don't want to have to have an enumeration or anything like that to try to determine what car is being placed. I'd rather just make this more simple and have two functions that are separate and not doing any toggling back and forth. So it's going to be show clear car button and show car selection buttons. So it's going to be the same type of thing. Get the switcher, set active widget index, and then this one's just going to be back to 0. So it'll switch back and forth, but this one is show car selection right here. Now if this was in C++, then it would just look a lot more nicer. I don't really like Blueprint a whole lot, but it's good for these little AR projects because they're super simple and you just don't have to do much extra work. So now when we go here, we should be able to put the Tesla model down, clear the Tesla model, and it'll go back to our selection process, and then we can click the Lamborghini, put the Lamborghini down, clear it, select the Tesla, clear it. So now we have that, right? So we can go in there and mess with the Lamborghini's paint now and see if we can fix that, because I think that I'd rather not have to, like, it'd be cool to be able to just have it use any of those. So in case if I, didn't have the white paint, car paint, accidentally forgot to put it in there or something like that, then I wouldn't have to worry about it. It would just automatically work anyways. So because of that, I'd like to try and go to my car configuration manager and mess with this function until it kind of give me something. So like it's kind of hard because I never know what the element's going to be. I don't know what index that element's going to be unless if like I go back and I adjust it so that every car has the body paint at the beginning and then the wheels number two and whatever's going to be editable. Just make sure those are in specific locations and then that they're always that way because then it would be like just as easy as change body color, pick that element of that one, and it would work for all of them. Um, but I don't. I mean, I don't really want to have to go back to the cars right now in Maya and have to go redo that because that's kind of a pain. And besides the fact that this Tesla's got like a ton of extra materials that need to be changed anyways, I'll probably end up having to do it. But um, I don't know. I mean, it's kind of like one of these things where right now the only thing I can do. I mean, I could go through. Let's see. You could get all the materials, and you could get slot names. You could get. I mean, I could get all the materials, and I could go through the materials, and I could. But they're all. I mean, none of them are going to be called car paint, actually. But still, that's kind of aside the point. I could name the materials a specific name, and I can have it go through and look for the car paint, and then find the car paint, and then use that element, pull that element, and use that one. Get the element index from that material. But I don't know. See if I were to go through here and get all these, I could go through them. So no, stay there. Don't be jumping. Um, let's see. Well, for now, just to make this like faster and not have to do this extra work, we just want to see it like work on the Lamborghini, and I think that what I might do is just do this. I think what I'm gonna do is this. I'm gonna fix it so that it's kind of partly like it'll be partly fixed. It won't be completely fixed, but it'll be partly fixed, right? So this is gonna be another integer, and this will be called the material index, and this index is going to be the one that we pass in, right? So I know that on here, there, so I know that we are going to be using the car paint. So every car, Lamborghini here, can have an index of the one that it needs to be. So I can just go car paint body. Actually, let's go body paint index, and this means that I have to do more work because I have to come in here and actually put the index in. So if I go to here, let's go. Actually, sorry, I think that one is 1. So this index would be 1. And then in the Tesla model, we would have, oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do. This needs to be at the top level. So I gotta go to my placeable real quick here. So let's go here, go here, okay. Nope, no soph. No soph. No soph. Okay, so oh, those are event dispatchers. I'm like, what is going on? Car options. You know what? I don't want to do that. I'm going to get this. I don't want this. I don't like this. I'm just going to set that back to default because I don't like it being in folder because then I have to look for it and I don't want to deal with that right now. So we've got this and we're going to go body paint index. And this could be done for like everything. So for the wheel index or whatever, you could change the wheel material. you could change, you know, whatever other colors. It could be done with different indexes. So that way you're just like making a function that does what it does, pulls the index from each specific placeable that you have. So they keep track of their placeable index, paint, whatever it is, their body. So this one can be 0 because it doesn't matter. But in the Lamborghini, we would want that to be 1. And on the Tesla, we'd want it to be 10, right? So, and then we can just use that function, and we can go to the car configuration manager, and we're going to be having a new material index that's getting pulled in. So I need to add this to the thingy here, but I have to go into the actual thing here for that. I have to go to the okay, so here, and so because of this, let's go integer, and body paint index, and let me go back to this configurator real quick here. So this is the index of the body paint that we're getting. So we want it. This is the index of the inside the array. So each button's going to get the index 0 through whatever, however many body colors you have. And so that's the index for that. And the material index is now going to be passing through that. So we want to go back to the yeah, we were here. We have this. Let's pass that in. So now the thing that calls this is the color button. I think that's, yeah, body color button. So you'd have like a button for each kind of thing, and this is the car. This is the body color button, and I would just make another button that is of like wheel color button, right? And then when you have the wheel color button, that can do the same. It can do like similar coding or whatever for the wheels. You could even make one button class and pass in. You could have like a name ID. You could use a name and have an ID for that button, and then you could have information that gets put so that you don't have to have separate buttons. It just uses the ID to identify, and then I don't know. You could set stuff up like that. But this is basically calling, here it is, calling this, and so now we have a body paint index we would need, and so each button's going to need the body paint index. And so when we create this, technically that wasn't in here. And so what I would need to do now is the main UI, or the car configuration menu, which is not up right now. I'm going to clear the Lamborghini and the Tesla for right now. I don't really need those up now. But let's go to the UI and configuration menu. So this one's the one that has like the colors. And so there's like a border and a scroll box for the body color options, and then I would do like another scroll box that would be for like if you push the button here, it would just be another scroll box that would switch back and forth. And so your next one could be for wheels or for whatever colors, whatever it is that you're trying to set up. You could do wheel static meshes. You can have like different wheels options in there, and you can have different wheel colors, whatever it is that you're trying to do. But I'm gonna just work on the paint here for the body color for right now. But so let's see. When it constructs, it creates the body color buttons, and so it gets the body colors from the configuration manager, and the configuration manager got those from the placeable. So this is just an array of linear colors, so it's not like I could pass anything else in there with it. But I could pass, I could go get, actually I don't know if I'm going to have that. Configuration manager, get placeable. The thing is, if the placeable doesn't have, if there is no placeable, this would work. I think we could just grab placeable, and then inside the placeable we can get, which I don't like doing it this way, but get, I'm going to probably make a function for this, but you get well, whatever it was called, material index. Uh, what the hell did I call it? Oh, body. Yeah, body paint index, right? Get body paint index. I'm gonna make a function that returns that rather than making that, just using that, just because I like to try to keep things organized and not just have editable, like, variables all over the place. And so that's in the placeable here, and we want to make that private. So that's private, and then we just make a like a getter function for that. So we can get body paint, oops, body paint index, and it's funny because I probably should put material index, but whatever. Um, and so then we're gonna do an output, and we're gonna just grab the body paint, just grab that there and delete this, and then we're gonna make this function pure and make it const as well because it's just getting something's not changing anything. Okay, and then we go back to our body color here. So no, wait, configuration manager. So then get body paint colors, body paint index. There it is. Now we don't have access to the other thing. So this is the body color button. So now we need to go back in here and make that index a thing. So we can just say body color index or whatever, body paint index, right? And that's an integer. Now, like I said, there's probably ways to make this work better. If I could just get those, if I could just get all the paint on each car, and I knew it was going to be the same on every car, every index was going to be the same, then it would just do it that way. I would just make it so that, you know, when I want to change wheels or when I want to change the body paint, it would always be just getting that index. So I would never have to do this. But until I get to that point, I can just use this for now. Because going through and changing all the materials on those vehicles is just I don't want to deal with it right now. Okay, so then we go back to our thing here, and then oops, we need to make sure that this is public and expose that on spawn so that we can grab that in here. We can refresh this, and here's that, and put that in there. So now we've got our body paint index. It's going into the button. Each button's gonna have a body paint index. The body paint index then gets, when you push it, it's gonna get sent through the to the configuration manager. Actually, that's funny. Why did I do that? I didn't need to do that. The configuration manager already has it. I didn't need to actually put it into the button because it's going to be the same body paint index. I didn't need to do this. Let's go back. Configuration. I'm going to leave that in there for now. I don't need to take that function, that parameter out, but at least I don't think I do. It won't cause any problems. But what's going to happen is, so I don't need to pass this into there. There's no reason for me to do that. Because the body paint index is going to be the same every time. No matter what button and color you're putting in, it's always going to be the same index. So really, it's just get to the point where we go, where is it? Configuration manager, and I have, where is it? Where's my button? Okay. Here it is. No, that's not it. What am I talking about? Chain on body color button pressed. Then there should be, yeah, configuration manager on body color button pressed. Is that not the manager? That's the menu. That's why. Okay. There's the manager. That's why. Okay. So inside here, we don't need to pass that because the placeable is already in there. So you would be taking the placeable and you would just do it this way. The placeable's already in here, so I can just get that. Yeah, I don't know why I did that earlier. So body paint color index. There it is, body paint index, and then you would just go dink and dink, and you can remove that from here because you don't need it. So let's go here. I'm just gonna expand this. Okay, so that works for now, and then now I'll go here on body color button pressed, remove the body index from that, and then go here. So we don't have the body color index anymore in there. We don't need to pass it through that. It's just have to know that the whatever current placeable you have, that's going to have an index. So the car has to be placed in order to get to the configuration menu anyways. And so you're always going to have a valid placeable at that time, and you're always going to have a valid material index for that placeable because that placeable will be there. So that should work. Now I want to make sure I didn't leave any trails of stuff that I wasn't messing around with. So I'm thinking that works. See? There you go. Now you can change the color of the Lamborghini because it's index 1. And then you can go back and you can clear the placeable on Model S and place the Model S, and you can change the color of the Model S. There we go. So now we have the ability to change that, and we can do that with every placeable that we make because they can all have their own material index, and you don't have to do anything extra. And this is just the debug menu that comes stock with the what do they call it? The template, and I just kind of modified it so that it looks a little different. But I don't want these buttons here to show on the top. So when I bring up the debug menu, I'm going to actually have that cover those. So I want to make sure that that's being done. Let's go back here, and then we've got the debug menu. The debug menu is hidden right now. So I'm going to make sure that the switcher is on the canvas panel, but is underneath, I think. Yeah, so we want it to be underneath. And I like to just go anchor, bottom, whatever I need to do, and 0, or sorry, 0 offset, position, negative 200, and not 20, fucking 200. I think that's enough. I don't really know. It might be less than that I actually need. So let's do negative 150, and then 150. We'll do that. So there you go. Now it's nice, but it'll be underneath. So when you go here and you click open your debug, oh no, it's not. The hell? That's because there's no button in there. That's why. I didn't notice. It has to be on the bottom, so I need to do the overlay on top. That means that the switcher needs to be all the way up the top, like that. Okay. That should fix that problem. There we go. So now when you're in the debug menu, you won't be able to click the buttons. You can still come out here and you can change your Tesla model or whatever it is that you're doing. The Reventon. You can change the Reventon colors. I like the orange. It looks really nice. And the red looks pretty cool too, but that's not really like a Lamborghini red. Neither is this blue, I guess, but whatever. Okay, and the Lamborghini kind of needs some more reflective wheels, I think. I'm just using some paint color that's not even like reflective on the wheels. The Tesla's got like a little bit reflectiveness going, which is kind of nice, but it's not too bad. It looks kind of cool with like the blue or whatever. And these colors are not Tesla colors either, so they're gonna get like, I'm gonna be probably making like the actual colors, or somewhat similar to the actual colors for each of these vehicles or whatever, just some options that you can have. So now I need to figure out this, because this doesn't look right. These buttons are too skinny and too they're too long, and they don't fill the entire, or they fill the entire area but too much. So what I need to do is just like this switcher here, I didn't offset it at all on the left or the right, and so I don't think I'm gonna. Well, I guess I have to at this point, but I could do this. Wrap this with a border so that I'm not gonna have to worry about doing it on the switcher. I can just take that and I can pad the switcher. So leave that where it's at, right, and then pad the switcher to like 20. And then what'll happen is it'll oh no, I don't want to do that with the, well, I mean I could do that, I guess, but we definitely need to increase the size. So you'd have to go up to like 250, and then you could do 250, and then pad. I mean that might be too much. Pad it to like 20, but you also need to take the border, and you have to take the border color and just go 0, so you're not seeing the white. Because I don't really want the white, and that's definitely too much. So I'm just going to do it the other way. Replace with child, keep the switcher, go negative 200, and then 200, negative 220, and then pad the left 20 and the right 20. There we go. So now we have a nice 20 padding around the whole thing. But it's weird because the buttons are not big enough to like fill the whole area, and I also don't want them to be. I don't really like them the way they are because the scroll box is going vertically, so I want the scroll box to go horizontally. However, if I do that, go horizontal, those buttons are going to be like way too long because, well, I mean, they're not bad, but it would be better if I stacked the text, right? So Tesla Model S would be like down, Lamborghini Reventon would be on top of each other, so then I could go in here. But in order to do that, I have to like go back to my, I gotta go back in here to here, where is it that creates that? So create car selection buttons, and so the text is coming from inside my structure. That's right. The structure is in the car selection manager, so inside here, and you can do stacked text right here, but you have to hold control. Oh, maybe you cannot. That's right. Yeah, yeah, you can't do it inside this. If it was a string, you might be able to. I don't remember. I'm going to try that with a string real quick, because you might be able to do it with a string. Control Shift. Control Shift usually allows you to stack text. So if I were to go like this, we could do this. Control Shift. So that would work. Control this, and then car, and you could do that, and you can do Control Shift again. So I mean, text doesn't let you do that, so I could go Lambo and then Control Shift Enter, and then Reventon, and then it would display that way for the most part. I think if I wanted to do it that way, though, I'd have to go in and make sure that the text on that button, where is that button? Where is that button? Car button. So on the car button, I'd have to make sure that this text is centered, because otherwise it'll like be wanting to be left faced, left aligned or whatever. And I don't know if this is gonna work, but I'm gonna go into that manager here, and I'm gonna actually go into that struct. And I hate changing structs because they always break things. But let's go into blueprints and game framework, structs, verticals or vehicle struct, and change this to a string. And then that's fine. Now in my name or in my UI here, I'm gonna have to pass. It really doesn't matter. This part's fine. I'll just go like this, to text. That's fine, because it doesn't matter at that point. It's back here. All that matters is that this structure has a string, so that I can take the string in here. And see, this is not updated because it's retarded. So this is the thing I don't like. I could do this and go refresh all nodes, but this isn't going to fix that problem, I don't think. So usually I got to go delete plus, and I don't know if this is going to work. Car name. I don't know if that's gonna work. Vehicle structure. So go. We'll find out. Car. No, it won't. Right here. So that's still a text. So this is why I don't like. This is why I don't like structs, because usually you have to, like, in order to fix them, you have to delete them and then remake them. And it's so freaking annoying. So let's just go. Usually I do this. I rename. I don't like doing this because, yeah, I don't like doing this, but, so, okay. Just get rid of this. I hate doing this. I hate it because it's going to break everything and then I have to, so let's just do this. Let's go change it to that, change the variable type, and then you can change it back to an array, and what's going to happen is, it might fix that, probably not though. More than likely it won't. No, it's not. I don't even know if this is still showing that it's a string because it doesn't give you that information. It's supposed to be a string, but no. Oh, that's because it's an array. Okay, so get the copy and break that. And so it is a string here, but it's like, I can always just do this. God frick, I hate that. I mean, let's see. If we really wanted to do it, I don't want to have to. I'm not deleting this. I don't want to delete that variable, so I'm just gonna tough it out, and I'm gonna go to here. I hate that it does that and closes them. So we want Tesla model, and we want Lambo, and we want to just. I don't even think it matters what they're called at this point. I could just get rid of this and just do a name. I don't want to have to do that though, because this is the way it should be. But it's just so frustrating. I can reformat it. I can like append the text, or I could. I don't know. So I'm not gonna want to do that, but. Okay. Let's just leave it for now, because I don't really want to. I don't want to delete I don't want to delete my I don't want to delete that variable. It just causes problems and breaks things. Reventon, okay. I don't even know if this is the Reventon, honestly, but I'm just gonna. I think it is the Reventon. Okay, so for now we're just gonna have it. We're gonna leave it like this. We'll do this, but we'll make them kind of spaced out so they're not like they're not just completely right here. So we want to go car buttons. Let's do set padding, and we want to make padding for that because we don't want them to be completely next to each other. We can pad those a little bit, make a margin, and we'll pad those maybe 10 all the way around. Find out if that looks decent. I don't know. It's not too bad. It doesn't look amazing. I mean, honestly, it would be cooler if they were just like icons, I think. If you could just do like a circular button or some kind of thing like that with an icon of like the type of car, but then at the same time, I don't know. I mean, how would you know that it's the Reventon, I guess? If it was just like an icon of a Lamborghini, you know, you're not going to be able to know that it's the Reventon. Unless it was like a real picture, I guess. But I like this a little better. I mean, at least it kind of utilizes that space, and then if I make more, it'll scroll back and forth on the bottom of the screen without having to stack up the, you know, vertically up the screen. So let's just do this. Let's go Lamborghini, and then here now I have this issue where I want to make sure these buttons don't show, and like right now it says clear placeable, and the button shows when you hover over this. So that button's there underneath it, and I don't really want it to be visible, so I'm going to make the button. Um, Actually, I don't know what it looks like on the phone, so I'm gonna launch to the phone real quick so I can find out how big that is. See, this is like the time that you would want to launch to the phone. Is when you want to check things for like proper spacing and whatever else, because sometimes you don't need things to. Um, Sometimes you don't need, to do that when you're just building the code and building the logic. But then it's like it gets to a point where you're like, okay, I really need to know whether or not this button is gonna be like too big or too little on the screen, and is it gonna look right? It takes a few seconds to do this. Um, it has to go through and process it all. Okay. Okay, it's deploying still. Okay, now it's running. Let's find out. Let's find out. So you got the other button on the screen. The start button is like not too bad. Okay. Yeah, I mean honestly, you can kind of see um, the size of the buttons. It's hard to see because of this, but you can kind of see the size of the buttons on the screen there, and it they're not super big. It's like it's really yeah. Anyway, if I were to go to Lamborghini, then I have to actually with AR I actually have to have the placement properly, otherwise it won't allow you to place the item. So it has to find tracking. There it goes. Now it's got tracking. Then I can place the Lamborghini, and I can like actually look at it. And then I can click on it. But the clear placeable button feels to me like it's a little bit, maybe a tiny bit big, but it's not too big. So it's like I might just make it a little bit thinner. It's kind of, it's kind of nice. It looks decent. It's not like super huge. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to just make it a little bit smaller, and then I don't like the way that those like the other buttons look. The scroll buttons on the bottom for when you're selecting cars, it just doesn't look very good. So I might go with an alternate route on that one. I'm not quite sure. Like I'm gonna be playing around with that for a little while. It just doesn't look right. It looks something's wrong. It just like doesn't feel right. Um, so cancel that. So in order to fix that button, we go back in here. We want to go to the debug. We're going to close this and toggle that. Now I have the, here it is. Okay, so clear placeable. This button is kind of big, and I think it's mostly because the size of the switcher is so big. So let's do like, I feel like 150 is going to be too small, so 175. And so then we would want negative 195, like that. Okay, and then I can go clear placeable. That'll look a little bit better. It won't be so big. And then the selection box that loads the cars. Now that one is just going to kind of, I don't know. I'm not sure what I want to do with that. It works right now, but like I don't, I'm definitely a little bit not happy with it as much as I could be. I think it could be better. It could definitely be better. But just that change might have made it so that when I place it, yeah, So now the menu covers that because I made that one simple little change. It doesn't show up underneath, like right here at the top of that. And this menu here, I plan on using some icons or something. I'm not sure entirely on how that's going to look. I like the white kind of at the bottom of it because I think it looks kind of cool. Just to have a little bit of white around the menu on like maybe just one section of it. But yeah, I mean, let's go Tesla model. Doesn't look too bad. So okay. So now if I just don't know what I want to do with these. That's the part that's tough. What do I want to do with those? I just don't know. I don't know. I just don't know. What do I want to do? I mean, I could use images and, like I was saying, icons, but I almost think they should be like square buttons rather than the long buttons. I think they need to be the same size. Like that's what I think. So I can use a wrap. If I could just do this. I could set it so that the car button here, this wraps. So do where is it? Margin line. Nope. Wrapping. So I can go wrap at whatever size, right? I want the button to be a specific size, so I could actually make this so that it has like a size, wrap it with a size box. This might just look better. Wrap it with a size box, and then make the height and the width equal so that it's always going to be a square. Probably 150 by 150. I don't know if that's going to be right because the other one's 175. So let's just do 175 by 175. And then we just wrap the text at 150. It could work. It could work if I just take this and go down a little bit. So Tesla Model S, and then when I hit play, but Lamborghini Revuelton is going to get overloaded because it's too small. I mean, the word's just too fucking big. So you place an HDRI in there, you can then, and they can, and can they turn around? An HDRI, like you mean like an image? Is that what you're saying? Like an image of the car, and then have them like, an HDRI. Let me see. I don't know if that would work in mobile. I'm not sure. That's the question. Is I don't know if that would work in mobile. Because there's so many limitations with mobile. I don't even know if HDR works in mobile. Let me check. Unreal Mobile. And on a UI, I'm not even sure about that either too. HDRI backdrop. Let's see. Do I work on mobile? Yeah, that's a question. I'm not sure. I don't know the answer to that question because I don't know if it works on an Android. It's because like this, it's the shader models like the viewport along with the actual mesh. Well, it would if it was like in the backdrop. So that was I was thinking like yeah, if I did like an are you talking about an HDRI image for the actual world itself? So it doesn't have to be like black or camera based with AR, or are you talking about using an HDR image for the UI buttons that I was talking about? Because oh yeah, so I'm sure that could be done, but the only question is I just don't know if it would render on mobile, even if you put it in the world, because mobile has weird, like restraints that sometimes things just don't work on mobile, and so I don't know if HDRI is one of those. I've never actually tried to use HDRI on mobile, so I'm not even sure of the answer to that. But I think essentially, if you were like doing this on if you were making like a PC, like car configurator, and you didn't care about working it with a mobile or any of that, like you could easily just go to the level and yeah, you could put your world, you could do your HDRI image and have a nice full world that like could be, you know, you could actually like have it so that when you turn the camera around, it would, you know, would be the background for the entire scene or whatever, and that would work on PC because I know that works for sure, obviously, but on mobile I just don't know. But in AR though, that's the other thing about AR. It's like if you cover up the um, where's the actual Lambo mesh? Oh, where the actual Lambo mesh is. Okay, hold on, my stupid thing went and closed. Um, you mean like display an HDR image of a car? Is that what you're asking? And then have it rotate around with that? Oh, so that's kind of like that is kind of a thing. Like, yeah, you might get more reflections with that, and that's what I'm not sure because, like I said, I don't know if it'll render properly, so it might not even work with the metallic stuff. But when you like the way that I've set up my metallic materials, I've tried to make them less metallic-y because obviously in AR it's like you have this black background, it doesn't have much. But one of the ways I got around it was in my place. Where is it? My placeables. I have these lights. Well, actually, let's just open this one. These uh, these lights right here provide uh, the reflective light kind of on the car when you look at it, and so when you get into the, like these materials on this car aren't. Let's go to the Tesla actually. So when you look at it here, it's hard to see because this isn't very big, but there is. Let me see if I can actually make this bigger. We're gonna go here, and I'll just change the play settings because right now I'm set to like to look like a phone. So let's do like I don't know what this is gonna do. Okay, that might work. It's a little bigger. I was thinking about doing it like so now if I were to the basically the lights are what are causing it to kind of you to see the reflections on certain parts of the car right now. And if I took the lights out, it would be a lot darker. The reflective materials there wouldn't really be shining much. But I do have. I mean, there's obviously there isn't any. Yeah, like you were saying there, that HDR would give you a better reflective like coloring because you'd have it. It would be working, but it's like um, I don't know if. Oh yeah, see, and like I was saying, I don't know if they would work. But this kind of helps. I mean, like putting lights in the scene like this, and then I just used a. I don't even know if the reflective capture is actually doing anything because the reflective capture I may have taken it out because it was there was another issue with reflective captures in mobile where it was not wanting to work unless if it was I forget what it was. There was something that was causing a problem. So it's like there's so many restrictions with mobile. It's like you can't make mobile look very good. I can tell you that. It's it's like it's mediocre. But I mean, you can kind of fake it, and that's what I'm doing with these lights. From trying to get some reflective, just getting the light. So like when you go to when you go to the Tesla, it's hard because in here you can't see it because I can't move around. But and if it's a different color, let's just pick like orange maybe. Orange makes it easiest to see, but it's still hard to see. But you can kind of see these little reflective. These are like these are the reflections of the actual lights. Now, when you move the phone around in AR, you see those reflections like moving across the car, And so it gives you more of that feel of like, yeah, there's like it's reflecting something. If you take the lights out, then you don't get any of that, and then it just looks totally like it's an unlit. It almost looks like it's an unlit car, but it's not because materials in the materials in mobile are just kind of shitty. They just don't look that great to begin with. So putting these lights around it really helped it, you know, get more depth, um, because you see like the you see the shading of the car. You know what I mean? Like as you go through, and like it's not just like one solid color, which is what was happening before I put all the lights in. You could look at the side of the car and you wouldn't even be able to see the depth at all. It was really bad. Um, but there's also a skylight, and I've got those four placeable lights on the car. So every placeable gets one of those, gets that set up, and then in the world, I still have the daylight and the skylight, because if I take the daylight out, it totally screws it up. It's like wait, it just doesn't look right. And then if I take the skylight out, I'll lose a lot of extra light. So let's see. Make sure it's provide evidence of direction. You can just put the HDR in there instead of the lights. Um, yeah. So I I'm not sure. That's the thing. I don't know. I mean, maybe. Let me look at something and see. Is there a component for that? I have to do a sphere and just like build, put the HDR image on it. And I was thinking about doing that. I was thinking about actually doing that, like have a sphere that goes around the whole car, and then put the HDR image on the inside of it, so it has normals that face in. And so that could potentially work. But what's weird to me is that I was actually testing some of that theory earlier on, like the other day, by using just putting meshes around the car. They weren't completely enclosing it, but I was putting them around the car, and I was not seeing the reflections of those meshes at all on the materials. And so I'm wondering if that was part of the the issue with like mobile. It's like I put static meshes like right next to the car, and tried to have them reflect in the chrome material, and they just wouldn't show up. So it was weird. But normally you would see those if you were looking at it on PC. But I'm also using the preview shader here for Android. So like if I switch that back to like the regular shader model, I would have probably saw those reflections. But I don't know. It's strange. Um, yeah. I mean, if you figure out a way to do that, that'd be cool. Um, so yeah, I need to figure out how I'm gonna get this text to work. I mean, I'm thinking like icons might look better in those buttons, but at least now, wait, where's my blueprint here? There it is. Okay, so in here, my car button. Yeah, so here it is. So I mean, the text is like 30. If I lowered it, I could fit bigger words, but then it's going to be small. So, oh man, I could make them like all the same size and have them be width of like a little bit bigger. So like 300 by that. So then, even though they're, oops, I got to change this playback. This is a little bit bigger than I want it to be. Let's go. I mean, I need it to be on phone spec only because then I can kind of really see what it's going to look like. But let's do like, I'm going to do like an S6 because truthfully, that'll fit on the screen better. Okay. That's funny. Well, you sound like you know what you're talking about when it comes to HDRI. I mean, to some degree. So I don't work with HDRI a whole lot because generally I'm doing programming and not artwork. Like I'm not usually the level artist or any of that stuff. But in this project, I kind of have to be everything because I'm like the only one working on it, and so I just don't really do that a whole lot, and so that's why I don't get. That's why I haven't really I wouldn't know I don't have the knowledge to know the answers to whether or not it'll work. But I think this could work. I think this could be kind of nice. These buttons are still too small, so I want them to be the same size as the placeable button. But that's not bad. And I want this to work. There's something else that's happening. I've noticed when I click on a button, it doesn't wait. Do you see that? This doesn't disappear, but when I click and I click place, I click down and it immediately does it because it's counting as a click. And I don't know if it happens on. Actually, don't know if it happens on the device. Because if it does, I'm going to go in and make it so that it only happens on release rather than on click. Because I don't like it. I want you to have to release the button for it to finish doing that action. Shouldn't be able to just like touch it and then have it just goes away immediately. Come on, there you are. Oh, oh, come on, place the car down. Okay, so on the device it works properly. On the device, you actually have to release the button. So that's good. I'm new because I learned everything in a lot of topics and I know more people on the fast. Yeah, there are a lot of things that, like when so what I do, a lot of what I do in Unreal Engine, mostly when I'm hired for work or whatever, I'm usually coding, and I do some 3D modeling and stuff, and I do that, but I also set up, like I know an extent of a lot of the stuff in the engine, but like some of the more art side of everything, I'm not as familiar with because I just don't put my time into it as much, and I do enjoy it, but I'm like the guy who loves to code and create, create, these what is it? Um, I'm totally blanked on the word. Oh, yeah. Well, AI is a little bit. It's one of the harder things to do. That's definitely hard. But there's actually some stuff that's kind of nice in Unreal Engine. You can use um, you can use Blackboard and behavior trees and stuff, which kind of makes it a lot easier, which is cool. But AI is like an endeavor. AI is one of those things where like that's what you do. You're the AI developer. If you're gonna work on AI, if you really want it to be good AI, then that's what you do for a living. Like you just work on AI because it's complex. I mean, it can get really complex. It's like having a behavior tree do some simple things. That's one thing. Like have it. Oh, I'm gonna move around, or I'm gonna have him stop when at certain times. That's like some basic stuff. But if you really want him to like think and have it like um, like something like Destiny where it can do it can go back and hide and it knows exactly like it has multiple locations to go hide and stuff. I mean, it starts getting really. Yeah, I mean, I would say like if you need AI built, I would look for somebody who's really good with AI specifically because that's like it's a lot of work to build good AI. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the reality of it is, it's like the behavior trees and all that. That's like the beginning of everything. So you can kind of like you can have more advanced AI with code, and then you can utilize behavior trees and kind of like the combination of code and behavior trees, and it's just yeah, it can get kind of complex. I mean, you don't even I don't think you don't even have like I think you would definitely would want to use behavior trees for AI if you're using Unreal Engine. It just makes sense, and they're available. Why not use them? But like when you're talking about like some other video game developers, I don't know what they use exactly, like proprietary engines and stuff. Some of these companies, they probably just write all their own AI code. They might not have anything like a behavior tree specifically. So I don't know. I'm like, my favorite stuff to program are I like player investment, player um, I like loot systems, and I like inventory systems, and I like the gear and all that stuff that you can get. And I like doing abilities and and like all of the little progression and investment that you can have for your player, and all the like stats, different stats, and all that stuff. I like to put that together, but I also like doing stuff like this too. Yeah, well, I'm sure they do. I mean, I guess that's like people who, I mean, so I used to read a lot about like people who program in code and then they jump into Unreal Engine. Like maybe they worked in Unity or something and they worked on C Sharp and they maybe they know C++. So they jump into like Unreal. They'd be hesitant to even touch Blueprint because it's like it's just unfamiliar and they don't even want to try to get to know it. I learned on Blueprint, but at the same time, I also learned C++ throughout the same time. So it was like I kind of just got used to using Blueprint for real short, small projects, and it's really fast. Like it's very quick. You can produce, you know, immediate results without having to do a lot of extra work. But when it comes to like building a video game and stuff, like my video game that I have that I'm working on, my personal project video game. Let me see here if I can find it. I might just open it up. I mean, my other streams, like I had a few couple weeks ago, I was working on it, but I had this whole game built in Blueprint at first, like the whole part of what I've got right now, and then I started actually transitioning everything into code and really translating it all in there. So now it's almost all pretty much in C++. Not 100% of it, but it's getting there. Um, yeah, that's kind of what it is, and that's why I like it. That's why I think it's so nice because like you can easily see things, you can easily iterate, really fast. You don't have to go back into the code files and like it's just all within the engine. I kind of wish like I use Visual Studio for C++ with Unreal Engine. I mean that's what most people end up using because it kind of works really well with it. But it's like I almost wish that Unreal Engine had their own code editor that wasn't like experimental. So I think they have an experimental one. That was just something that you didn't have to go completely into, like Visual Studio and because I mean, it's just if the compile times I guess were faster, I would like that. If it was the same, if it had the same compile times, then screw it. I don't care. I'll use Visual Studio. But if they could improve the compile times a little bit, or just maybe even a great amount by having some kind of in editor. The thing that I think would be nice is that if you had an in editor like code ID or whatever, you could just like have it open with all your other windows, and that would be nice to be able to just switch back and forth without having to go to a completely different program and open that up. And I usually whenever I'm working on code, it's like I'll have Unreal on one monitor and then I'll have Visual Studio on the other monitor, um, and so it's just it becomes like I have to have both monitors and I have to be working on both of them, and sometimes three monitors. Like I used to have three monitors set up. I just don't do that right now because I don't really have the room anymore. I have the ultra wide Dell monitor, so it's like I use. It really works well with Unreal when you get a lot of space, but it's like I don't know, just takes up a lot of space on my desk. Um, so yeah, this works. I'm gonna increase the size of these buttons right here. I think because they're definitely smaller. Um, which means that they are not. Oh, because I padded them so that they have space. That's what it was. I only want to pad them left to right, not top to bottom. That's why. Yeah. rounded corners for like the buttons and stuff. Yeah, actually that was something I was gonna go in and probably just make like new button uh, textures, and then just use those, and maybe put a gradient on them or something like that with a material. Um, and I can go to like Illustrator or something and make some textures. Yeah. Yeah, with a gradient, exactly right. That's yeah. Well, it's funny because you could do gradients in Unreal Engine really easily with materials, and that's what I like. I like being able to just like not have to have it all built in. I just I go and make like a texture, that's like all white, whatever it is that I want, and then I just apply a material to it, and then you can like totally make that button look whatever, like have different effects or whatever through the material, which is kind of nice because the materials are so much more powerful than having like, and then they're not like, then they can scale better too. So it's like if you make something, the button needs to change size. It's like now it might not look right because whatever the texture was that you had, and I mean, if you export it as a PNG and then you scale it up or something like that, if it has texture inside of it, it might get all weird looking. But if you export it here and you raise it up in scale, you might get a little edge pixelation, but the material itself on the inside of the image, all that's covering the image, won't get all messed up because it's using the material, which I like. So I need to fix the car button padding on the top and bottom. I don't want it to pad that. So that is in here. When it creates the padding, we don't want to pad the top and the bottom. We want those to be 0. So now those should be the same size as that. So the top and bottom, they're the same. So I can have multiple car selections now. I can add more placeables, and and it'll just drop another button in there. This part of the menu is not completely finished, but I'll figure that out. This is actually a scroll box, so if I add more colors, it should scroll. I guess I could test that out. Let's go try adding a few more colors. The car configuration manager. We need to close some of these. Car configuration menu doesn't need to be open. Lambo doesn't really need to be open. And pawns, I think I can close the pawn. Okay, so vehicle, not the car selection, not car configuration. Here's body colors. So let's go here and add a few more. We'll just do like 4 more maybe. I don't even know. We'll do like a purple-ish color. Maybe like a nice whatever. Oh, that was not what I wanted to do. 1, not 0. 1. I gotta have a real red, like right, a Lamborghini red. That would be more like bright red. Bright, not fire engine red though. That'd be. I feel like they do kind of like on the verge of it being a little bit pinkish. Not I shouldn't say pinkish, but lighter red. It's probably a little bit too bright, but whatever for now. And then I'll do like this weird teal color. Like this little teal color. I kind of want this to be a little darker though. And then 1. Yep. And then we'll do a gray. Why not? Why not do a gray? Oh, okay. So, okay. I'm not sure if this is going to work yet because I have to make sure that I didn't actually throw them in there, did it? So, body colors. Oh, I put those in. Oh. Huh. This isn't even supposed to be here. the body color variable is supposed to get this is supposed to be zeroed out. Actually, this is gonna be gets filled from the placeable. So the placeable. Wait a minute. This actually doesn't even need to be here. I left this in from a while back, and because I had the body colors in here, and then I moved them to the placeable later, and then it's doing that. So I want these colors, right? But I don't need this variable anymore. So let's copy all of these, and then I think I can delete this because it's not even being used. Yeah, and then go to my placeable, and then just paste the colors here. So now we've got those. Now it should propagate that menu with all the colors. Yeah, and I should be able to scroll, but okay, yeah, so it works. Scrolling kind of works, but it's a little weird with the mouse. So, but now you can kind of scroll through, and you can have other color options. Gray, red. I feel like the red's a little too bright because it doesn't allow it to have any like shading. It just negates all the shading, you know. And it could be because um, the color of the or no, I'm using the white paint I think for the Lamborghini. Aren't I? Didn't I change that? Didn't I change that back? Let's go find out. Yeah, so I am using the white paint. So, I mean, yeah, I would just probably like, if I was going to do red that bright, I would probably like lower it down a little bit, because that's just, it's a little too bright. But let's see what that looks like with the Tesla. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, purple and bright red and, you know, it's funny, I could do this, I could set up some controls so I could actually move around the car. I just didn't do that because I don't really like, generally I don't need to move around the car. I can always set it up on AR, and then I don't like the way this looks at the bottom that much though. This this thing here, it's like I need to fix this, but I don't have anything for these yet. I'm gonna make other buttons and stuff here, but like I'm gonna make probably wheel colors and then wheels. So I might completely just make this a little bit different to where like you can choose the type of thing that you're going to go into first. Like you click on this and then maybe it gives you, first it gives you options for like paints. If you could go into paints, and then paints could bring up another option that has the different parts of the car that you would want to paint, or you could select. I could have it so that you could select the part of the car, but I was trying to make it more simplified so you don't have to keep tapping the car. And then I was going to have some information panels on the car, like over the car, different little like pop-ups that you can click that'll like pop up and have information on them and stuff, so that you could type in what you want and display that information. Yeah, these are definitely not Tesla colors. But it looks pretty cool. I like the idea of it, and it works. But yeah, these buttons are a little just too gaudy, I think. But again, they're all like kind of placeholder at the moment. I was gonna make get some other font text too. Yeah, I want to do something. I'm thinking circles would look cooler down here, almost. Or like we were talking about, rounded corners would be pretty nice. I don't know. Circles look pretty sweet, but then it's like you can't fit as much. Definitely can't do text at that point, right? You'd have to. I don't know. And it's really not up to me because I'm not the one. I'm building this for my friend, and so I'm gonna let him kind of decide how he wants it to look. I'm just kind of. I'm putting together like a basic functionality, like a basic UX, you know, and then the UI design part can kind of be like him. Like he can kind of go like, oh yeah, I don't like those colors, or um, you know, I'd rather have it look this way or this button shape or whatever. Um, and the color for this blue here, I don't even know if that's generally going to be used. I might just change this to like white. I don't really know. I just made it. Oh, that's the other thing. Forgot. This covers up that configuration. Covers up that, so you can't click it until you come out. So I think what I'm going to do. Well, I don't want this to be accessed anyways during that. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if I want to open that project. I was going to open that project earlier, that other one, but it takes like 5 minutes just to open the project because it's got so many art assets in it and stuff right now. At least the first time that I open it takes a while. It is 2:58 now. I'm actually gonna have to log off here soon because I have to go work. Um, doing my other work, which is not this, which kind of sucks. I gotta work. I'm working all day here, and then I gotta go and do more work until like I'm gonna go work until probably like 11 o'clock tonight. So at least it's not bad. I um I don't have to do anything like extraneous. Oops, what's going on? Come on now. Okay. Anyway, um, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking I might want to just put a pause on it here and call it good for now until like tomorrow or the next day. Because at this moment, I don't really want to go. I don't think there's anything I can really make a change to that I'm 100% sure is gonna stay. So might as well not commit to anything. And I think it was working. The Yeah, the buttons work. I mean, I should probably just do one more build, one more push to the device just to make sure everything's kind of looking right, and then I'll go ahead and log off. This thing takes a little bit of time. Few changes, and then it's like an extra, 2 minutes of deploy time here. There it is. Let's find out. Find out. Cool. And it's not horrible, but it definitely needs better UI direction. So the reason why I got that whole setup with like the color icons the way they do, like where they're kind of popped up and horizontally scrolled, is because on Tesla's like website, I think they do something similar to that. So I was like, that's kind of nice, and it works out. I was actually doing it that way before I even saw that, but oops. Okay, I forgot you have to pick one. So come on, tracking, come back. Um, and I think it looks kind of cool to have the selection all laid out like that, where you can scroll back and forth and then have it highlight the one that's currently selected. But generally, overall, I just don't know about the whole white and blue and just the buttons themselves. So, what is it? It's the lighting in here. It just doesn't want to work right now. It doesn't want to find the tracking. Come on, where's the tracker at here? I think I know what happened. I think I broke it. I think I know exactly what happened. Okay, let's go back and do this again. I think I know what happened. I tried to place an actor before I picked one, and so what ended up happening was oh, okay, it keeps stopping. Okay, I gotta repush this. I I accidentally tried to place the thing before I picked a car, and so then when I went and cleared it, I think that what happened was it didn't clear it because I don't. There might be some code in there where I may have put some kind of thing in where on accident where it doesn't clear it if there's no valid there was no valid thing, so it checks to see if it's valid and then it clears it. But because I placed an actor, it's wasn't even supposed to do that though, because it's got to check to make sure that there's a valid actor. So it shouldn't place it. It shouldn't even get to the logic to let it know that it has been placed. So I don't really think that there's an issue there, but it could have just been my lighting, and this thing's deploying again. Takes time to freaking deploy. There we go. Come on. Come on. Might have to put up like some kind of prompt on the screen that says choose your vehicle or something. Or select a vehicle. Okay. There it is. Lamborghini. Looks nice. The white is just bright. And so we have that. But it does look pretty good. And it doesn't scroll. Oh, that's the other thing. The scroll box doesn't scroll because I forgot to set it to. Oh no, it does scroll. It's just it scrolls, but it's not going to scroll when you click a button because the buttons are not set to precise tap and precise click. So I need to fix that real quick, and then I'm going to call it good. Where's my buttons? Okay, so on each of these buttons, the car button and the other ones are gonna have to be set that way. You have to if you want them to scroll properly, you gotta set them to button, and you gotta go. Where is it? Where is it? It's been a while since I've come in and had to do this. It's the tooltip. Oh, here it is. Click method, down and up. You want precise click, touch method, precise tap, and press method doesn't really matter. So click method and touch method. And then on the other button, the body color button, just the same thing. I want to do precise click and precise tap. This way when you scroll, it'll actually work properly without having any issues. I think what was happening was before I was getting to here and I wasn't able to scroll it unless if I grabbed it in just the right spot. But now it's going to scroll nice and smooth regardless, because you have to click it and release it for it to activate the color. So that works. Now launch that. This thing refresh. Ugh. Okay, I think it's gonna be gone. Come on, where are you? Oh, okay. Oh, it's still deploying. Still deploying. I'm gonna watch the output, see while it goes here and does this thingy. Sitting here going crazy. Okay. And deploy command complete. Now it's running. Allow it to use the camera. Find the tracking. If you don't have good lighting, man, your tracking just won't show up right away. Gotta get the good tracking. Gotta get good lighting, and good lighting to get good tracking. Oh, no. I just screwed up again. Did it again, yep. Now I'm not going to be able to track. So we'll go to place. Yep, I screwed up again. I need to fix that little bug. That's what I need to do, but... Okay, so let's do Lamborghini. Place the Lamborghini. It's not finding the tracking. There it is, okay. And nice and smooth. Very good, okay. That looks pretty nice. I like it. I can see the car in AR, and the colors work, and the scroll boxes work, and it shows that it's highlighted. Okay, that's nice. It's good enough for now, until I can get more of this UI decided upon. Alright, well, I'm going to go ahead and call it a day for the stream. I want to thank you guys for watching, whoever was watching, and I really appreciate all the support and the interest in my projects and Unreal Engine. And I'm going to try to continue to stream as much as I can. Sometimes I don't get to stream for a few days or whatever, but I'm usually going to be doing something, working on some kind of project or something like that that hopefully will be interesting. And I try to keep it different so that it's not just like the same thing every day. That way, you're learning something different if you're new and you want to learn. You're seeing different parts of the engine. Anyway, again, thanks for watching, and